This afternoon, Frank McClintock, who skippered Arsenal to double success in '71. You played in the '72 final against Leeds as well.
Yeah, it was a gruelling type of game as well. Very similar to how these matches have been between the Arsenal and Leeds teams. Very little between them and very few mistakes made by either team. And then when you do get through, there's terrific goalkeepers at either end as well. So it makes it really hard.
It's had really everything, hasn't it, this tie so far, except
top quality entertainment, I think.
Goals.
Yeah, and goals. I mean, actually, they have been sort of a riveting type of matches, but they haven't got above that. And I was commentating on the game the other night, and it was very tense and grim, but it wasn't particularly enjoyable, I didn't think. But
at some stage, it's the way it tends to work, isn't it? I just feel that this tie is going to explode into action this afternoon.
Well, actually, I thought that, Richard. On Wednesday, I was saying that before the game, that I think they've played each other so much, and then something will give now. And it started off, Arsenal started really well in the first 5 minutes, and there was 2 or 3 chances. And all of a sudden, it just lapped into chances every now and again.
A couple of changes, as we've heard from Andy Grant, as Limper obviously isn't fit, but Linegan's back, Ball is playing, and O'Leary, which suggests that Arsenal will play with a sweeper. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean defensively either, does it?
Not at all. No, I mean, but I'm sure that's what George will do. The times he does play with a sweeper is usually away from home, but it can be a very attacking policy as well. I felt as though Leeds actually played well on Wednesday, and they were the better side, and I was a little bit disappointed with Arsenal because I felt this was their opportunity after playing them twice, the third replay or the third match, and it didn't seem to me as though they really understood that. Apart from Bold at centre-half and the goalkeeper Seaman, who was outstanding, the rest of the team were really below par. And yet they still didn't get beat. And in the last few minutes, they had 3 great chances and could have won the game. So all is not lost yet. I mean, they have got a lot of character, and they dig in there, Arsenal.
Are they as durable, I wonder, as what I would describe as your Gunners? George Graham has said they'll never lie down. We won't get beaten easily anywhere.
No, I don't think they will get beaten easily anywhere. But you're always a little bit biased with your own team, and, you know, we actually did the double. George reckons that this team could be better than the double side. And I say to that is go out and prove it. You know, go out and do the double. I actually felt that we played in a higher standard of football overall in the 70s. I felt as though there were many better teams than what there are now. There's only 2 or 3 top-class teams that can really give you a challenge.
What about Leeds, who we mustn't forget only came out of the 2nd division last season? There's the stadium. A very intimidating arena, isn't it?
Very much
and
so.
Haven't they done well in their first season back?
They've done absolutely brilliant. I thought they would be just above halfway, and they've surprised me. And I know Howard was looking for a couple of players, but he's slowed up in that department because some of the players, like Gary Speed, for instance, have come on leaps and bounds, and he looks a good player. And their midfield the other night was a dominating factor of the Leeds side. It was a little bit of a reminder of the old Leeds with the Bremner and the Giles and the Lorrimers, etc., and Eddie Gray. And obviously they're not quite as good as that, but they were very good, and they dominated the game at Highbury. And I think that was one of the areas that George Graham must be a little bit concerned about, because if they do that at Elland Road this time, they'll win the match.
I was just about to mention the England manager, Graham Taylor. It's unfortunate I should do that, as we pick up 2 of his admirers on the track there, but there is Graham, full of smiles. And maybe he will have his mind on Highbury this afternoon as well, Frank, where Tony Adams starts his comeback. Going to be difficult for Tony, isn't it?
I think so, but my son's going, actually. I says, why are you going to Arsenal reserves? And it was because of Tony Adams, so it just shows you there's quite a following of Tony Adams. He's emerging gradually as a very major force in Arsenal, and he's going to be a really big name over the next few years. He's got some limitations. He's not great in all departments. His passing could be a bit better. Sometimes looks a little bit awkward against sharp little players like Beardsley. But he's got so many good things going for him. And I think he's got a lot of character, Richard, and I think he'll come through all of this and come through as a better player eventually.
Just about to mention his character, and you say how important he is to Arsenal. Will he get back into shape, do you think, to play a part in what at the moment is a challenge for the double?
Definitely. I think he'll be playing within the next 10 days. Because evidently he trained very hard when he was in prison. It's funny you talk about a footballer being in prison, isn't it? But he evidently trained very hard, and some people have got an actual fitness, and even though they've missed quite a lot of games, can come back, and I think he'll be one of those players.
A wave from Lee Dixon as he arrived on the pitch. Nice to see goal mascot as well, coming out with Paul Davis. David O'Leary, they know each other, as you said now, Frank, so well, these sides, don't they? I mean, how difficult is that when you get into that situation?
It is difficult because, for instance, I was just saying the other night after the game, if a fullback like Sterling or Nigel Winterburn or Dixon makes an overlap and bombs forward against lesser teams, sometimes the winger against them falls asleep and he gets a free run. But with both these teams, they're all counteracting each other. They're back. Speed is back if the Arsenal right back is making a run, and vice versa with the other team. So it's difficult to catch anybody on the hop.
Wait until you hear
it is an
welcome for
intimidating.
Leeds United.
This is an intimidating place, Richard. I mean, even this season I was up when Arsenal played Leeds, and Leeds played Arsenal off the park, actually.
Very quickly, prediction. Andy Gray says 2-1 Leeds.
I'll say another draw.
Another draw. Let's go to Elland Road. We're live this afternoon. Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Thank you, Richard. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Elland Road, round 4 of this open-ended contest, it seems. And if you've been following it over the past 3 weeks, the players as familiar to you as the cast of your favourite soap opera. John Lukic, Leeds United's goalkeeper with the strong Arsenal connections. Mel Sterland, who conceded the penalty which was missed on Wednesday. Mickey Whitlow stands in for Peter Haddock, as he did when Haddock went off at Highbury. David Batty, whose tenacity typifies the Leeds approach. Chris Fairclough, firm in the centre of the Leeds defence. Alongside Chris White. White has been very capable against his old club. Gordon Strachan, who's matched all the physical commitment of the younger players. Carl Schutt has done some extra sprint training since Wednesday to confirm his recovery from a leg strain. Lee Chapman is shirking absolutely nothing despite the scars on his face from that horrifying accident at Tottenham. Gary McAllister really enjoying this after 5 consecutive years going out of the FA Cup at the 3rd round stage with Leicester City. And Gary Speed, one of the Leeds contingent, particularly thwarted by David Seaman at Highbury. But Arsenal have made the first significant tactical changes in this marathon, and to some extent, injuries have forced that on them. In front of David Seaman, Arsenal will be reverting to their sweeper system. So Lee Dixon at right back will be able to push on into midfield. So will Nigel Winterburn on the left-hand side. Michael Thomas, as usual, wears the Arsenal number 4. Then Steve Bold, one of 3 central defenders picked by George Graham today. Andy Linnigan returning after being left out on Wednesday. And David O'Leary will play as the sweeper this afternoon. Paul Davis has the captain's armband. At 9, Alan Smith, who's scarcely had a chance to score in 5.5 hours against this Leeds defence. Paul Merson still looking for his opportunity to settle it Arsenal's way. And then at 11, Kevin Campbell, who did have the chances in extra time of the second replay. John Lukic prevented him taking them. And Campbell getting the nod over David Rocastle, who is still, Arsenal feel, a little short of full match fitness. Howard King is the referee. It's his second game of this 4-match saga. Graham Taylor has dropped in. Leeds kick off. Set, they hope, for the sort of storming start that they try to provide whenever they operate at Elland Road in particular. Whitlow. Carl Schutt, stabbed forward by McAllister. The pitch is not as good as the one at Arsenal. Gordon Strachan described it as the local tundra, and he should know. Well, the handball is given against Dixon by the referee, and not by the linesman on this near side. Chris White has come up. Chris Fairclough is there as well. Strachan complaining with some justification, but the 2 Arsenal players haven't gone back the correct distance. But he dropped for McAllister, a difficult one to hit, and those wearing white ahead of him were wondering whether they could get back to be onside as Arsenal pushed out. Andy Gray, your thoughts about the Arsenal team selection, first of all?
Well, I think it's a selection that's been forced upon George Graham, Martin. I just wonder if both Anders Limpar and Perry Groves had been fit, would he have been a brave man and changed it anyway? We won't ever find that out, unfortunately. But that could be the thing that just opens this game out. You know, they've been tactically very, very close together. No one's changed it. I think possibly a fear of losing the game has stopped anyone doing that. But now injuries have forced George Graham to change tactically, and that may change the whole aspect of the game.
And what he's trying to do is to match Leeds in midfield, because he admitted to us as a shot gets away here with a ball driven over the top, retrieves it. O'Leary has to knock it behind for the corner. George Graham believing that Leeds were winning the midfield battles, but they haven't won the tie. It's going towards Sterland, and O'Leary met it for Arsenal. Yes, two Arsenal players, Groves and Limpar, missing because of their injuries sustained on Wednesday, and Peter Haddock out for Leeds. But I must say, one point that we should stress: in 5.5 hours of fierce and frenetic football, there hasn't been one single yellow card. The players' behaviour has been exemplary at an important time for the game in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, people are always on players' back when there's any trouble, Martin. But it's at times like this, after 4 fiercely competitive games and not one yellow card, that you have to hold up your hands and give the players a little pat on the back.
White. Sharp challenge by Linighan. Smith basically up front with Campbell for company, and Paul Merson, who's been moved around from midfield to attack over the course of this tie, is starting on the left-hand side, and the role vacated because of that ankle injury by Anders Limpar.
That's going to be a crucial area of the pitch, Martin. I think George Graham's always been worried about Leeds' right side. I think he thinks that's the strongest avenue, with Mel Sterling and Gordon Strachan. And it was noticeable that I think Mel Sterling in particular was quite happy that Anders Limpar wasn't playing today. And maybe that'll give Mel Sterling the chance to get forward more. We know he loves doing that, but Anders Limpar seemed to stop him doing that in previous games.
Chapman going for this one, and Thomas getting a head in for Arsenal. Batty. McAllister looking for something very special, knowing that a lot of his friends and family are watching live on the sports channel in Scotland.
Yeah, he was saying before the game he had to make a quick couple of phone calls after he found out the game was live. So we've got 1 or 2 extra viewers north of the border.
Came off Batty, and Strachan was in the right place. Nigel Winterburn. Merson peeling away so that there was a route to Smith, but the ball rolls out off Alan Smith. It was a great feeling of fellowship arriving at the ground today. Everybody's seen a lot of each other recently. Chapman, McAllister stooping in. There was a mistake by Linighan, and because of it, Shatter's got a corner. Just for a fraction of a second, Linighan was uncertain as the ball was dropping behind him. O'Leary read the trajectory. A feeling of some irony from the Leeds players that Gordon Strachan has been the man to put Limpar out of this tie. Not too many miss the next match when Strachan tackled them.
As Gordon said, though, I think it was actually his body falling on him rather than any tackle that Gordon made.
Andy Linighan, once of Leeds United. of Sterland. Remember, we're still in the 4th round of the FA Cup here on the scheduled day for the 5th round to take place. And the eventual winners here, if it happens in time, will meet Shrewsbury in that delightful part of the world a week on Wednesday.
You're assuming, of course, there is a conclusion to this game, aren't you?
Yes, it's a big assumption. Sterland drives it long. Speed trying to get there before Dixon. Chris White, who's had a couple of goals disallowed in the course of events. In between them, got a goal that counted in the Rumbelows Cup semi-final first leg against Manchester United. Shot, Turnwell, and accepted the opportunity, a rare one, to face the goal and have the ball at his feet.
Yeah, but it's always good early on. I always enjoy seeing a striker. To get the crowd on your side right away, is to have a good early shot. He hasn't troubled David Seaman, but psychologically the crowd will be up with that.
Here's Campbell. Merson's in the middle. Dixon trying to provide some support here. Campbell never really totally in control of the ball. Whitlow. Linnigan treading on the back of the Lee Chapman Achilles tendons. But Howard King let the game go on because Leeds were in possession. Chapman not too happy about it. Subsequent to that, Lee Dixon got into trouble for this.
In your day, that would be a good shoulder charge, wouldn't it, Martin?
And in your day, of course, there was no physical contact allowed at all. Not much. White looking for Fairclough on the far side. Quick reactions there from Shutt while Arsenal hesitated. Strachan. And that was Fairclough. He got 9 goals last season, he's got 4 this season, the central defender.
Yeah, it's a snapshot from Chris Fairclough. I don't think he sees it till very late. And he just sort of sticks his foot out on it. If he'd been more aware, actually, Carl Shutt was only 2 or 3 yards away. And a super little position to fish for a little knockdown.
Merson. That's speed. Now Dixon. Campbell, who's got a lot of power in his running. It's an excellent cross. Alan Smith felt he had to go to the near post because he was the only Arsenal player available to go into that area. If he just held, the heading chance would have been supplied for him by Campbell. Just coming up to the 10-minute mark. Bold at the near post. O'Leary is there as well. Linnigan coming in at the back. It's quite a footballing dynasty, the Linnigan family. His brother David at Ipswich, and he's got twin younger brothers than that at Sheffield Wednesday, who are on the YTS scheme there, 17-year-old twins. So the name of Linnigan, I think, will be around in football for a good time to come. The push on Chapman. Well, the scars have started to go now. There's obviously been excellent medical attention on Lee Chapman. 35 stitches in those facial wounds. It's a deep one from Batty, and a combined effort, really, for Arsenal to defend against it. Bold must have got a call.
And I'd be most surprised if that kind of tactic works against this Arsenal side. They are absolutely huge, Mark. They've got about 4 or 5 6-foot-plus defenders in there now. And just to pump the ball into the area is going to be food and drink for them. It may be that Leeds have to just have a little bit of patience in the game, try and tempt Arsenal out a little bit and open them up along the ground with the mobility of Carl Shutt.
Merson. Campbell hoping that the back pass might have been off target from Sterland. O'Leary sorting this one out, or in theory sorted it out, because he wanted to jump with Gary Speed and not Dixon. Arsenal concerned that Leeds get the ball in the air to the Leeds left, where Gary Speed spring-heeled approach has been troubling Dixon. O'Leary took on the responsibility but didn't win the header. But now he takes this Arsenal free kick. Over Linnigan. It's come down for Smith.
It's a half a chance more than anything there for Alan Smith, Martin, as it comes over. He would dearly have loved someone busting their leg to get in there with him, just so he could knock it back. And in fact, Lee Dixon was actually doing that, and it may have been better had he just held on to it and laid it back for him, because on its own it was a difficult chance to take.
But by the standards of chances that Alan Smith's had over the past 5.5 hours, plus today, at least he'll be pleased to have put in a shot, even if it was off target. The matches undoubtedly have got more and more entertaining as the games have gone on. Isn't always the case, but the match on Wednesday is certainly the pick of the three. Davis. Linnigan. Sterland who got to it. Headed back by Campbell, and actually it wasn't Smith going in there who was offside, but Bold who was coming out. Here's the cover provided by O'Leary. Fairclough. Blocked by Merson, but not handball. 4 up for Leeds, and they've got the throw. And in Sterland and Batty, they've got players who can propel the ball vast distances. It produces a corner, the tactic. Gary Speed comes out on the edge of the area with the freedom to run where he chooses. Linnigan hasn't cleared with it. Or the second time. Batty. It's a good jump by Fairclough. Chapman. It's easy to say, but he might have got more of it if he could have swung his left foot.
I think
Leeds
right.
have another corner.
I think you're right, Martin. He just wanted to get it on his right foot. Always worth swinging it, even if it's your bad leg in that situation. You're so close to goal, it's worth having a swing at it with your bad leg.
Strachan with the corner. Well, it went over the whole pack, coming into the centre and the near post, and Carl Schutt put all his energies really into the jump.
I think the game started the way we all thought it would, Martin, hasn't it? In the fact that we all thought Leeds once again would start at a terrific pace and go at Arsenal and try and get the early breakthrough. Arsenal would have known that, George Graham would have known that, said to his team, let's at 20 minutes still be at 0-0 and we can take it from there.
Leeds, remember, the only team who've been in front in this tie for about 90 seconds until Anders Limpar wove those pretty patterns down the left-hand side and rescued Arsenal. Far too long for Leeds from Chris White. Well, he has got an excuse because Leeds have shortened the pitch here. Not recently, but since the start of the season. Might mess up his calculations compared to the grounds he plays on in away games. The last touch here was off Dixon. David Batty, very much a cult figure for Leeds United. We've mentioned before in our coverage of this tie that the supporters here would like nothing more than seeing Batty score a goal on this ground. He's been around the senior side for more than 3 years now, and he hasn't performed that particular feat yet.
Yeah, he's got lots and lots of great qualities that you need for a midfield player, Martin, but the one thing he hasn't shown is he's got, up till now, is the ability to get goals at a regular basis from that position.
Here's Whitlow, who scored once this season from long range against Chelsea here. Arsenal able to play on the break through Merson. Sterling, the defender closest to him. Campbell in the middle. They've let Merson run a very long way. It's another solo goal at Ellen Road for Arsenal. This time Paul Merson came in from the left. And Leeds let him go and go and paid the price.
Well, certainly shades of Anders Limpar here, isn't there, Mark? You wonder what's he going to do. But Neil Sterling backs off. Chris White doesn't get close enough. And Merson tucks it beautifully in the corner. This is an absolutely superb finish. And for the first time, this tie is something we haven't had, an early goal.
And something else we haven't had. Arsenal are in front. It's come after 18 minutes. Dixon.
This is a real test for this Leeds side now, Martin, because I think after 3 games, mentally it's very, very important how you feel. And the amount of big games that this Leeds side have had to play in the last couple of weeks may just take its toll on them. This is a test of character for them.
Campbell. There's Winterburn. Everybody wanting a touch for Arsenal. Campbell. Well, Paul Merson has had to sacrifice some of his individual qualities because of Arsenal's team plan over this tie. But once he got the ball at his feet then, he seemed absolutely determined to finally make his mark. His 12th goal of the season, and one that he'll recall for a long, long time. Strachan. Down from Chapman. Here's speed. This is Whitlow. McAllister's got into the middle. Here he is. A shot from the speed. The scorer for Cambridge United, Dion Dublin, part of that excellent attacking pairing that John Beck's got going at Cambridge. Ron Atkinson will be on the back foot at the moment. Dion Dublin and John Taylor, the 2 up front for Cambridge who've done so well. And Leeds faced with the problem of coming from behind, and Arsenal just looking for a period perhaps of entrenchment here to make sure that they don't fall into the trap that caught Leeds out when they were in the lead in the first replay. Speed, well hit, given that he was under pressure, not with any great power, but to reach it was some feat in itself.
Yes, it is well hit from Gary Speed, but David O'Leary does ever so well. He just does enough there to get a foot in and just take a little bit of the steam out of it. But Leeds shown us already that they're going to go at this Arsenal side. They're not going to accept defeat.
This on a ground where the last 12 matches here, there was no offside then, incidentally, as the ball ran on beyond Merson and Thomas. The last 12 Leeds games here, they've won 11 and drawn 1. The one, of course, was against Arsenal.
I think, well, if there's a side equipped to sit and defend for 70 minutes, Martin, then this Arsenal side have certainly have shown us over the last couple of years they are capable of doing that.
It's aimed for speed. Thought about volleying it across, then clipped it in, but behind. Already a full international for Wales, Gary Speed. Yes, you talk about the number of cup matches that Leeds have played. It's an extraordinary amount, 8 in their last 11 games. More to come, whatever happens here. Speed. Knocked back by Dixon. He'll be feeling a little bit better about his penalty miss. We do understand that if Arsenal do get another penalty today, that Dixon is brave enough to have another try at beating John Lukic. Alan Smith, who actually is scrupulously fair as a player, feels a bit aggrieved that he was ruled to have shoved Chris White. Chapman got to it as he was backing on in. Bit of sympathy for Linnigan there, but I'm sure not from Andy Gray.
No, I think Andy Linnigan's been guilty 2 or 3 times of going up. What he's doing, Martin, is he's going up very, very early. He realises the threat of Leeds Champions, so he's going up early onto his back. I think the referee's quite right. What it has to realise, Andy Linnigan, is you can't always win the ball. You sometimes have to accept that the player in front of you is going to get to it. This is inviting unnecessary pressure.
McAllister. He got it round the wall, but not with sufficient pace to beat this supreme Arsenal goalkeeper, David Seaman.
Yes, I think they just tried to catch David Seaman organising his wall on the other side. And I think if there had been more pace on that, it would have proved a lot more difficult to deal with than it was.
Dixon, Campbell. It drops for Davis. Well, Davis had the shot, but Kevin Campbell caused the problems. It's only his second start of the season for Arsenal. He's been very much confined to the bench, but he did enough on Wednesday to justify his inclusion today, I'm sure. Linnigan. That was a bit lucky there for Arsenal. Smith for Campbell. Leeds haven't yet broken free of the midfield change in approach that George Graham has put into Arsenal for this game. There's one for Strachan to look for through the centre. When it's that high off the ground, though, he's not going to get the better of Bold.
What playing the sweeper has done for George Graham as well, it's allowed him to push 3 up front, Martin, and Paul Merson and Kevin Campbell are both operating sort of wide of Alan Smith, who's probably been told just occupy the central area, make it as difficult as you can for the 2 centre-halves. And Paul Merson and Kevin Campbell are enjoying freedom on both sides of the park.
Here's Speed, might have been a handball in there. Nothing wrong with O'Leary's tackle, but the back pass, he certainly could have improved on. David Seaman is such a relaxed character. Plenty of goalkeepers would have glared at the culprit that maybe was responsible for a scarred leg then. Well, Harold King is being consistent. The goal scorer is the player in distress.
I'm not quite sure. I thought there might be a knee in the back, but there didn't seem to be any sign of it there.
Maybe it was an arm in the back. But Merson face down on a pitch that's been scarred by the rugby that's been allowed to be staged here. Leeds United FC Well, I always have the final say on that, of course. But I can put on the record the fact that their players enjoyed performing at Arsenal FC in terms of the conditions underfoot than they do playing on this particular pitch. Davis takes the free kick, looking for Linnigan coming in behind Smith. No foul. Dixon can't believe it. And Arsenal didn't even get the throw either. Shut. Speed, not able to get there before Thomas. White jumping with Smith, hooked infield, but not with any degree of accuracy by Speed. Linnigan. Obviously the goal, Andy, has been a great help to Arsenal, but even before that you sense that they were responding to this change of emphasis that, as you say, has been rather forced upon them with the team selection.
Well, George Graham's fortunate, Martin, and when he had to make the change, you go into the sweeper system, it's something these players are very, very comfortable with. And they knew that they could play that system, and they'd be quite happy to drop into it.
It's being tested here, though. Well, the appeals were suggesting that Dixon might have blocked the cross by Shutt with his hand. But Lee Dixon was a lot further away than Mel Sterling was when he was penalised for handball at Highbury. Mel Sterling was a lot further away, I should say, in that incident. It was a much more clear-cut episode. Chapman. Smith. Coming up to half an hour gone, Arsenal leading Leeds United by a goal to nil, provided by Paul Merson, very much all his own work. Thomas guiding it on. Here is Merson. Trying to wriggle free again. Shut. It does so much unselfish work for Leeds United. Speed's roaring into the middle, and Arsenal had sufficient cover. Thomas could do little more than just steer it away from the goal, realising that a corner would be the outcome. It's a corner for Leeds as they look for an equaliser. Batty wasn't giving that one up. Some juggling from White. Thomas gets it out and out of play. Arsenal really penned back at the moment. But Leeds still striving to open them up. Strachan. Winterburn got to it, anticipated by Speed. Here's Shutt. The spare man is Batty. Oh, and a problem for Whitlow. He got away with it. Merson protesting that Whitlow had fouled him. Leeds United charged here. We're trying to break down the best defence in the First Division in terms of goals conceded.
Yes, it's not going to be an easy task for Martin, but I feel that Leeds are happier when the pace of the game is up. I think if Arsenal slow it down, it makes it very difficult for this Leeds side. But when they get the game flowing and when they get some pace into the game, they look a far better side, a far more comfortable side at that.
Graham Taylor, I'm sure, as enthralled as the rest of us. Strachan, goalkeeper's come, didn't deal with it. Chapman has put it wide. And this time, and a real rarity, Seaman was stranded.
Well, a little variation, Martin. They don't just fling it in there, they take a short throw. And as it breaks to Lee Chapman, well, I think with 18 goals already this season, you'd have put some money in on putting this into the net. It's not that difficult a chance, it's there to be hit. Just hit the target, you're saying to yourself. And that could prove a costly miss.
Whitlow. To go to half-time. Leeds, who have been virtually invincible at Ellen Road. Their colours last lowered here by Queen's Park Rangers back in October. But in those early games of the season, they were still really coming to terms with their improved league status back in the First Division. Once they got the hang of it, they've been very difficult to down. For shut, McAllister and Sterling in the middle too. That cross only suited Seaman. Dixon. Despite that penalty missed by Lee Dixon, Leeds were certainly good enough to win at Highbury, and you just wonder, given the nature of the contest here, whether it is slightly easier to play as the away team. Certainly suiting Arsenal. Davis. Help from behind from O'Leary. Giving Smith something to challenge for, but Fairclough was the master of him. Batty. McAllister. Not easy to put the passes together on a pitch that's already cutting up. And Leeds, who won the Second Division Championship very much as a long ball team, have shortened their approach, which has been a very sensible course of action in the First Division. But that little sequence of short passes down in front of us, Andy, didn't come off.
No, it didn't, but it shows you that they're not resorting just to lump it in there, which I think would be wrong anyway, and I think would suit Arsenal. What they've got to do is just simply to keep some pace in the game. But that's a test of their fitness. I mean, it must be physically draining, the big games they've had to play in recent weeks.
Speed. Chapman went in bravely. McAllister. Whitlow was trying to find Gary Speed on this hit. Beseeching the linesman there to react, and it is indeed a free kick to Leeds. That's the signal for White and for Fairclough to join Chapman and Shutt in the middle. Well, had that gone in, certainly David Seaman's view would have been masked from Gary Speed.
It certainly looked to me as if at least Leeds had a case for a corner here as it comes in. And they've dealt with this, Arsenal, but not convincingly at times. They don't clear it again. As it breaks to Gary Speed, it looks like Steve Bold gets a magnificent block on it. But obviously the referee once again doesn't agree with me.
Got all the way through to Shutt, and Speed was facing the goal and quite entitled to spin into the shot. Batty, listen to the extra edge from the crowd's reaction. And O'Leary came across with what was a suspected handball, but not a proven one. What an amazing cup run for David O'Leary. No one has played more games for Arsenal in any competition than O'Leary.
Some people don't play that many league games, Martin.
Total games for Arsenal, well above 650 now. Dixon leaving it to the left foot of Paul Davis. Fairclough had to go for it. Merson, Linnigan again found himself slightly a square peg in a round hole there. O'Leary. Merson. Winterburn has nothing much on but to loop it forward. And Smith made something of it for Campbell. Smith will get there. He was thinking very sharply. It's a corner. And Leeds all the way seemed to be in a position to take charge then, but they never really did. Merson to take the corner. This is Andy Linnigan. Gets it back in. Oh, Lukic just dropped it. That's Smith. It's an uneasy time, really, for Leeds.
Problem for John Lukic is when you've got so many big men in front of you, it makes coming over the top very, very difficult. I sometimes think that goalkeepers in that situation, well worth punching the ball, clearing it out the danger area.
Campbell. McAllister under pressure. Bold will be able to set Arsenal moving again. Winterburn. Merson, who really is giving Mel Sterling some difficulties on that far side. And Lukic had to cover the near post where goalkeepers hate to be beaten. Merson might have just seen a chink of daylight in there.
They hate to be beaten near post because invariably they get criticised, don't they? But Mercer's taken everyone, I think, by surprise, and almost John Lukic. Had they not been 6 foot plus, and they might have struggled to get there.
Merson's corner, Lukic. Oh, and Smith. The linesman is flagging. It's the sort of incident that always provokes the thought that goalkeepers get too much protection.
Again, it's because there's so many big bodies in there, Martin. You can't always come through people. Sometimes you have to stay, sometimes you have to punch. John Lukic did neither there, he flapped.
McAllister. Here's speed. Only Chapman in the centre for Leeds, and 5 minutes left in the first half. We've talked, Andy, often enough in the past about Leeds United being a first-half team. Well, they've got to give the lie to that if they're going to stay in the FA Cup. They're a goal down with half-time approaching. Scored in the 18th minute by an inspired individual run from Paul Merson. O'Leary, whose sharp football brain makes him ideal for the role of the free defender at the back. It's a push by one, number 4 on the other. Thomas on Batty. Leeds have split their resources here, right and left. Arsenal still come up with the answer. And they've got the strong running of Kevin Campbell to suit their cause now. Against Whitlock. Not past him, not yet. He sets up Dixon. Penalty got in the way. Dixon hung his head in disappointment. He'd love to score to wipe out the pain of Wednesday. McAllister away from Winterburn. Two wearing white either side, but McAllister now shot. Well, almost at the identical stage of the game on Wednesday, Carl Shutt had a chance better than that one to beat Seaman. He went for subtlety then, this time he went for power.
And what a wonderful run from Gary McAllister, though. Full of determination. He wanted to only go one way, and he's a little bit unlucky. It just sets up for Carl Shutt there. But I just wonder, he had the time, I felt, to have taken another touch on it, to have done something, but he decides to go first time. It's always a dodgy one. You know, had it gone in the top corner, he would have been proved right.
George Graham was telling us before the game that he was concerned about McAllister's forward runs. They've been limited in the first half, but that was a warning that the menace was by no means quelled yet. But Arsenal have a free kick and a chance to double their lead right on half-time. Chapman, here's Dixon. Little 1-2 with Linnigan, and Lee Dixon has got the second goal, and that is very, very sweet satisfaction. He put the penalty over the top at Highbury, but at Ellen Road, his speed and then his placement did the trick.
Well, two defenders combined quite brilliantly to create the opening, first of all, and then Lee Dixon shows unbelievable composure. It's a very tight angle. He just is too strong for David Batty, and he slots in a wonderful goal. Does everything right in going across the goalkeeper, and that's a real blow for Leeds just before half-time.
And Lee Dixon has scored here in front of the man who keeps picking him for England, Graham Taylor. Well, lesser players, after the midweek disappointment, would have played safe here and not tried to do anything that could have led to maybe another miss. I think once we heard that Lee Dixon wanted to take any further Arsenal penalties, we knew that that wouldn't be the case with him. Here's Smith. Winterburn. And I just wonder, Andy, whether we wondered in midweek whether Leeds would be feeling the effects of playing Manchester United last Sunday when Arsenal had some time off, whether the cumulative effect is now starting to show.
Well, it may be. I mean, I don't see any signs that physically that they are any less than they were.
Dixon. Shot. Dixon. It's half-time at Ellen Road, and what a first half it's been for George Graham's Arsenal. We wondered how they would cope here without Anders Limpar, but Paul Merson provided Limpar-like quality down the left-hand side to score a critical first goal, and Lee Dixon with a super smile, with the feeling still warm for his second right on half-time. And Leeds, one goal adrift, would have felt that the game was still within range. It's going to be very difficult for them in the second half. They do have the wherewithal to come back. We shall see. You'll be back here for the second half at half-time at Ellen Road. It's Leeds United 0, Arsenal 2.